What's up, VC? I have returned after another short um, type of videos that wasn't vinyl related. I took a trip. Me and Kat took a trip this weekend, and uh, we did a few things. One of them will be this video. Um, we went to Jerry's Records. If you're familiar with Jerry's Records, probably anybody that's a vinyl collector, I'm sure, knows Jerry's Records, or at least knows of Jerry's Records. Um, uh, Jerry from Jerry's Records, he'll be retiring at the end of this month. This is June 2017. He'll be retiring, but he sold the store, the rights, the name, I guess everything to a current employee that's going to run the store and keep it open. They're not closing. If you've never seen Jerry, that's what Jerry looks like right there. And we went there, like I said, and I'll show you a couple other pictures that I took. This is one, not a very clear picture. Oh, there it is. That's Kat, my girlfriend Kat, there at Jerry's, looking through. I don't know what section that is. She was looking through, and then we have, there she is, again looking through some more records. And then this is a picture of me in front of Jerry's Records. So had a good trip, had a good time, and I'll just go through the day with you. The day we went to Jerry's, we sort of got into a detour around Pittsburgh, so we had to follow the GPS the way it took us to go around the detour. It turns out that we went through quite a few little back roads around Pittsburgh and sort of up hills and down hills and into residential area. And there was this one section, and I'm not real familiar with Pittsburgh. This is only the second time I've been there, where we went to this one road, and there's like steel barriers or like guardrails up, and you can look down and you can see like Pittsburgh, like way down there. It's like up super high. And I'm not really afraid of heights, but it was making me a little nervous because the traffic was just like pretty thick, and we didn't know where we were going, wasn't familiar with the area. But at least we got to see some of Pittsburgh we wouldn't have seen otherwise, I suppose. I mean, if you want to find something positive. So after we ran around with the GPS for a while, we had to get back on the interstate and go back around the other side, which was because of the detour. We had to do that. So anyway, I'll show you what I got at Jerry's. One thing that I want to show first that I meant to show in one of my last videos and I forgot. This is a CD. I didn't get this at Jerry's. This is a CD I ordered online. This is Dana Countryman's Girlville CD. This is his new release. It's various artists on Teensville Records. It's new songs in the style of yesterday's hits. Groovy girl group sounds. Quite simply a fantastic album from Pure Pop Radio. Alan Haber says that. So yeah, it's really good. I listened to it and I put it on my put it on my iPod. And there's Dana at age 16. And Dana Countryman, you've heard me go on and on about Cool and Strange Music Magazine. He's the guy that was the founder, I guess, the editor. Did I show the back? But this has 19 songs on it. So yeah, if you see this, or if you want to order it, go to Amazon. That's where I got mine. I meant to show that last time, like I said, and I forgot. So there's that. And then stuff that I got at Jerry's. Um, we went to a coffee shop before Jerry's and after Jerry's, and I picked these up. I always pick up free stuff. This is Andy Warhol's Night of 1,000 Marylands. It's I guess it's from the Andy Warhol Museum, which is right up there. And we didn't get a chance to go to that. Maybe next time. And then this is a Town Music Festival, 30 stages, 200 plus bands. I just thought the artwork was cool. Plus, it's free, and I went to the Facebook page and checked it out. So if you're interested in that. And then I picked up the Pittsburgh City Paper, which, you know, these are always interesting. It has news of the weird in there. I mean, we have similar papers here, but I like to pick that up just to read the local stuff. So then I got a Jerry's Record t-shirt, and I was really surprised that they still had these because I didn't know they did. This is the R. Crumb artwork for Jerry's. And it says Jerry's Records, Juicy Jar, Jerry, and Whistling Willie, which that's his Pittsburgh Vinyl Rules. That's his son, Whistling Willie there. And this is his store on the back. Whistling Willie's. Says 78 is great. That's across the hall from Jerry's Records. And I guess when Jerry retires, I guess Whistling Willie is also going to close his shop, and they're going to open sort of like, they still have the electronic store. It's still going to be open, but I guess they're going to carry more of that kind of stuff, and then they're also going to start carrying VHS. So that'll be interesting. The vinyl that I picked up, I mean, if you've never been to Jerry's Records, like I said, this is the second time I've been there. There's a lot of records there. Needless to say, there's definitely a lot of records, and you can get lost in there. It's very easy to get lost. And he has the regular genres, and he has a lot of subgenres. There's a whole room full of classical music. There's a whole room for jazz. I went through the jazz, the easy listening, the vocal. I went through the foreign records, which included polka and Latin music, pretty much all that. And then I skimmed the rock section, or I guess it's like pop rock, and then there's alternative. I skimmed that section. Talked to Jerry a little bit before we left, as we were checking out, and he asked if I found some good records, and I said yeah, because I like the oddball stuff. I mean, if you've watched my channel, you know that. And he said that's basically what he likes, is a lot of the unusual records. And there's no new releases, there's no reissues at that store. It's all used records, which I think is unusual. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I mean, it's everyone's choice to run their record store the way they want. But if you're looking for used records, that's the place to go. I like obscure records, like I said, and he said that's pretty much what he collects. He had mentioned like mariachi music and a lot of instrumental, a lot of oddball stuff. He's aware of Mrs. Miller, and because I'd asked one of the guys that was working there, he asked if he could help me find anything, and I asked if they had any Mrs. Miller, and we had to go up to the counter to ask Jerry, and Jerry was, he said Mrs. Miller is probably hanging out with Alan Sherman somewhere, and he said that Mrs. Miller is pretty much an unclassifiable artist, which I sort of agreed with that, because, I mean, she's not really comedy, she's not really easy listening or pop or whatever, but he said that if they had any Mrs. Miller, it would be in the comedy section. He said that the guy that was asking him for me, it was his, said if I got Mrs. Miller, I'd give them to you, and he said, well, how would I classify them? And he said they'd probably be in the comedy records, which I looked through all the comedy records. There wasn't any Mrs. Miller. I asked for a couple other artists like Heino. There was one record it was one German compilation had Heino on it, but there was no Heino records. And then I was asking for I don't remember what the other one was. and they didn't have that either. But anyway, leave it to me to find, artists that they don't have, because that happens all the time. But I'll show you what he did have and what I did get. This one was in the Latin section, I think. It's Eddie Avilares, he Lost Playboys, I guess. But I'll take it out of the sleeve here. But it's still in the shrink wrap. Chicano, what's the name of it? Chicano Country Boy. I love the cover. And then the back is also hilariously great. Where is he now is my question. And it's on Freddie Records. And it's just a regular white sleeve. But if you see the label there, it says Jerry's Records. $3. Is that what that one is? $3. It's worth $3 and then some. This came out in 1978. Corpus Christi, Texas. So yeah, I mean, there was a lot of records there. Believe it or not, at least there was more records that I was enticed to buy in the foreign record section. I mean, I always like that stuff. I have a lot of that stuff, so that's not a complete surprise. But as far as, that was the coolest section, I thought, other than maybe the easy listening. Although I have a lot of the easy listening, and I noticed that, I don't know what this means, but as I was looking through the different records and in the different sections, I seen a lot of cool stuff, but it's like, I already have that, I already have that, I already have that, I already have that. And I'm thinking, okay, does that mean that he doesn't have a good selection, or does that mean that I have too many records? I probably have too many records, would be my guess. Although, we've had that discussion before. And then this one was really awesome because of what it is. It's a Cookie Monster. C is for cookie. And it says exceptionally clean there on it. It's just a run-of-the-mill Sesame Street record. One that I didn't have. They had the other ones there, Big Bird and Grover and all them, but I have those. The Cookie Monster one, I knew it existed, but I don't think I'd ever seen it. So, and it was $5, which is funny that a Sesame Street record was more than some of the other ones there. I mean, Jerry's Prices is really good. And then this one, Ralph Carmichael presents Little Marcy with the Jesus Story, a children's musical. I have a bunch of Little Marcy records, but I'd never even seen this one before. And it has a demonstration not for sale stamp on it there. It's still in the shrink. This is on Light Records. Looks like it has never been played because there's no way they could have got that album out of there. So yeah, look at this. It's a brand new record. Never been played. It wasn't sealed, but it was sealed enough to where the record had never been taken out till just now. So, Little Marcy is a great artist as far as the weird factor. And then this one, after I had got home and looked through my records and stuff, I'm pretty sure that I already have this one and showed it in a video not too long ago, but there's a possibility that I don't. It's George Baker's selection, Paloma Blanca. And after I got to looking at it, I'm thinking, well, this looks really familiar. And he had more than one copy of this record. And it just seems like that I'd showed this in a previous video. It's on Warner Brothers. So, I mean, even if I have it, it's just a regular record label sleeve. If I have it, it's no big deal. It was only $3. So, but, I mean, that's a record that has probably only showed up twice, like I said, if I already have it. And this one, when we first walked in the store, Kat went one way and I went the other. And I went down through the section. There was a soul section right there, and looked over there, and there was 2 records leaning up, you know, out of the racks. And this one was on the very top, and the other one was sort of cool too. I should have got it, although it was a different artist. But this is Martin Denny, Hypnotic. And this is a, excuse me, what I consider a rare Martin Denny, just basically because you don't see it a lot. And it has the name Betty Rose on there. I guess she was the one that previous owner. So, and this is a really good copy of this. So I seen it and I'm thinking, okay, well, I don't know why that's laying there where it out of the section, but I'm going to go ahead and pick it up. This was the first record I picked up and brought that one home with me. This record too was sort of cool to find. It sort of looks familiar, and you know, I've said this before, I look at so many records online and I have so many books of records and album covers and things. That could be why a lot of these look familiar. I don't think I have this one, but anyway, it's Arthur Lyman, Cotton Fields. Once I finally found the easy listening section, he had quite a bit of Arthur Lyman records. So, and this is a really good copy too. This was $4 is all it was. Just a regular white sleeve. So yeah, that's a really cool cover. The one I was hoping he would have of Arthur Lyman was the, I think it's called Taboo Volume 2. I have Volume 1, which you see Volume 1 ever so often it'll show up. Volume 2 is the one with the shrunken head on it. It's like you never see that one, at least not in person. And then this was one that I'd never seen, and he had, I think, probably 2 or 3 copies of this one. The shrink wrap's come off. This is Arthur Lyman 2 Authentic Hawaiian Favorites. So, you know, this is pretty cool. Arthur Lyman's a great artist, you know, very exotica, very easy listening, very relaxing. So yeah, that's my that's the records that I got at Jerry's. So it was a good trip, but stay tuned for one of my next videos I'll be showing, or next video I'll be making. It's going to be from some other stuff that we did while we were in Pittsburgh this weekend. So tune in for that video. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed some of that stuff, and let me know if you've ever been to Jerry's, if that's on your wish list. I can mark that one off. I mean, I wanted Kat to go because she'd never been there, and there's something floating in my coffee. I don't know what that is. So yeah, thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't, and thanks for subscribing if you have. And we'll see you in the next vinyl update or something.